I don't care what the nerds say.
Well, we don't care what you say either, Bill.
You.
It's the nerds. I'm Chris.
And I'm Matt.
Matt, back again.
Back again.
It's the Bill Simmons podcast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Matt.
Matt, there were 3 podcasts last week.
Wow.
Really? Ryan Russillo, 1 hour, 56 minutes, and 39 seconds. Kevin Clark, who possibly is a dickhead to other people at The Ringer, including Robert Mays, possibly didn't get along, according to Reddit.
Oh, he's the one who just left, right?
Yeah. Also, Jim Belushi talking about cannabis.
I recorded this
show.
Haven't watched yet.
And then another special guest we'll talk about later.
Who's the special guest?
I'm not telling you. 143.27. The third podcast of last week. Raja Bell, and then Jacko, 144.03.
I have some bad news.
It's the Bill Simmons podcast.
Here we go.
Matt, on the first podcast, the one with Russillo, 0 seconds in, good branding.
Today's episode of the Bill Simmons podcast.
5 seconds later, Spotify.
You can change your speeds. You can go check out the new charts.
Unreal.
Speed.
Now, Matt, I actually did a little research onto Spotify.
Uh-huh.
Here are some things you could say from the Spotify website. With Spotify, it's easy to find the right music or podcast for every moment on your phone, your computer, your tablet, and more.
There are millions of tracks and episodes on Spotify, so whether you're behind the wheel, working out, partying, or relaxing, the right music or podcast is always at your fingertips. Choose what you want to listen to, or let Spotify surprise you. You can also browse through the collections of friends, artists, and celebrities, or create a radio station and just sit back. Soundtrack your life with Spotify.
Subscribe or listen for free. Did you hear me say a fucking word about listen speed or charts?
No, and the best part is you talked about what is ostensibly the best thing about Spotify, which is literally everything is there.
And you don't have to...
We're doing a Spotify, we're not even getting paid.
I'm going to try to parlay this into some money for us, Matt.
Okay, great.
I'll share it with you. At 128, this swallow.
Bakari Sellers. He has his own.
Pearl Jam at 2 minutes and 2 seconds. At 5:55, listen to this unnecessary article.
I think once you get to the college and below, there's too many variables. There's too many. There's no overseer.
If you're getting to the college and below, that suggests you're starting your journey from the pros and then going down to college
College.
and then from the college down to high school, presumably.
Below.
Bill then goes on to complain about this.
Boxing and college sports have always been the two that are just completely rudderless in 90 different ways.
How many ways are they rudderless? 89? No, sir.
Higher. 91?
Nope. You're close, though. You're hovering around it.
At 6:37, this does not make sense.
Maybe if you're really a bad decider, it might stretch to 24, 25. But for the most part, college is when you make your mistakes.
I think he means decision maker, Matt. Decision maker. At 9:25, this laughter. Matt, at 13:44, Texas. Is it part of the South?
I'm pretty sure it is.
What does that mean to like the South in Texas? Like,
Well, Matt, I looked it up. According to Wikipedia, the southern United States, also known as the American South, the southern states, or simply the South, includes Texas. So yes, I think the answer is yes.
Maybe Bill just really likes Texas. Oh, wait. You.
I've known people from Texas. I lived in Texas. People who are from Texas take being from Texas very seriously.
Yes. That's what I've heard.
At 16:05,
Don't mess with it.
well, I personally would never. At 16:05, this Joe Bluth nominee.
there was 5 different things.
At 18:46, this bail.
Finally, everybody just kind of gave up, and then LeBron turned. But
Speaking of giving up,
No, I don't think he bailed, Chris. What he was saying was everybody gave up, and then LeBron turned.
maybe it was like a driving course. At 20:06, so vague, I can't understand.
I thought like 5 guys were definitely going to win. And then something would happen to them, and then the next guy would go.
Where would the next guy go? To the top of the leaderboard?
Also, what would happen to the other guy?
Something would happen to them, and then the next guy would leave. So if you happen to be like in third,
you were good to go.
Yes, because the first guy,
So it was
something
like
would happen.
The first
the second
guy got eaten by a
split.
bear.
Yeah,
and then the other guy was toast so
I'm outta here.
terrified that he left.
At 20:34, this laughter. At 21:45, this Joe Bluth nominee.
I was so excited for that there were 2 holes.
At 23:36, you bet your life, Bill.
You're like, is this
mocking
Judd
me. I
Nelson?
don't like this.
Only child, that's what it is.
Yes.
At 25:19, Bill wants us to think he has changed.
When I was younger, I was way more xenophobic when I was younger.
Weird. Now, this does not sound like the kind of man who has had diversity
No.
complaints levied against him.
But now he's older.
Yeah.
And he's less xenophobic.
He's more inclusive. At 2608, Joe Bluth nominee.
It's just he's just one of those guys.
At 2956, my notes say different parts.
Picture of the guy from 270 degrees. You see his swing and the camera like moves different parts.
What parts is the camera moving?
Depends on when, Matt, because it's a variety of parts that are moving. This camera feels a little touchy-feely to me, right? I would rather have the camera move in fewer degrees and touch fewer of my personal parts or even extra personal parts. I don't care. At 3217, more difficulty talking.
They very rarely will criticize golfers.
They are very rarely will criticize.
Oh, maybe it's short for William. They are very rarely William.
Criticize.
What he's saying is those individuals on only a few occasions are William. Most of the time, they're Mark or David or Matt.
Is criticize William's last name?
No, that's the start of a new thought. Hang on, let's see.
Will criticize golfers.
So then the next sentence is criticize golfers. As Bill would say, a non sequitur. At 4347, the most egregious, unnecessary article of this purported Boston fan's career.
It's another thing that reminds me of the Bird.
The Bird? Did anybody ever call Larry Bird the Bird?
No. His moniker is SportsGuy33, right?
Yes.
That's like his Instagram handle. He lives his life in awe of Larry Bird.
The legend.
Larry.
Basketball
the
Jesus.
The legend is his nickname.
Yes.
Larry
the Bird. It would be great if his nickname was either Larry the Bird, or just Larry like Mr. T. At 47-48, this Joe Bluth nominee.
What LeBron as example.
At 51-42, the first of many weird pauses.
I'm going to go Giannis because of the defense.
I think I would go Luka because
I think this is a pause that is designed based on the weird exhale right before he starts talking to be sort of a pregnant pause filled with thoughtfulness.
Definitely is not thoughtful or pregnant.
At 54-32, this swallow.
Let's take a break and we'll talk about Phoenix and Portland.
Matt, talking about Devin Booker and his recent explosion and how people seem to know that Devin Booker had this in him. What other profession do you think Bill compares the people who knew this was coming to?
Sports writing?
Nope.
Sports media?
Nope.
Podcasting?
No, Matt, you're way off.
I got nothing.
Here it is at 113.
When like the great chefs know that there's some sous chef coming.
Exactly.
Like, that guy's a fucking awesome cook.
Chris, how could I ever have guessed? It is like all those great chefs you hear who know about the up-and-coming Sous.
You see that guy down there on the bread station? That fucker is going to be a legend. We call him the Bird. At 102.15, subject-verb agreement.
And now some of the stuff that he's doing in these games are pretty advanced to...
Some of the stuff are pretty advanced.
Some of the stuff are pretty advanced.
Not sure which of it, but it is advanced.
But in this case, some, plural.
Well, it could have been worse, Chris. It could be of the things. Would we rather have grammatical correctness or things?
Tired cliches. At 103.02, you'll never guess how modern Bill communicates with people.
KOC and Verno and I, we text about different stuff.
Oh, of course.
Why do you have to qualify that? You could just say, I texted somebody. You don't have to say, like, well, this is a thing I do with people I work with.
Well, I also like how he says, we text about different stuff. So it's like, sometimes we text about basketball. Sometimes we text about lunch. Maybe bubble baths.
Sous chefs.
Yeah.
At 112.56, time zone.
Sunday night, Pacific time.
At 113.07, swallow.
Burks. My guy Thibault, my favorite player in the league. Horford.
Matt at 116.32, redundancy, but not xenophobia.
McHale had the menu of 13 moves, and sometimes he would combo them like a Chinese food restaurant.
Can't you just say a Chinese restaurant?
Yes.
Doesn't restaurant imply it serves food?
Yes.
It's a Chinese restaurant. Well, what do they have there? At 120.04, what do you get when you cross the person who is in charge of the kitchen with something that hangs on the wall and tells time?
An executive clock?
Yeah, you're on the right track.
Quinn Cook's.
Klook.
Okay.
Quinn Klook, famous NBA man. I have a difference of opinion, and it truly is an opinion, about what Bill thinks is an opinion. At 122.38.
He looks too big. He just does. It's like, this is not an opinion. It looks like he's carrying too much weight.
How someone looks is most certainly an opinion. It cannot be a fact.
Right.
I mean,
it is your impression.
Yeah.
You have made the internal decision about whether this person appears in a way that is consistent with what you think is correct.
So I was trying to think of a better example. So I'm looking at a plant on the shelf over here. I could say to you, that plant looks green. It is green. It's not that it looks green. But if I were to say that plant looks full or
unhealthy,
big or unhealthy, that would be an opinion.
Man, I understand how opinions work. It's just the Bill doesn't. I like how he goes immediately from, this is not an opinion.
This is not an opinion.
It is just what I believe.
It looks like he's carrying too much weight.
That's an opinion, Bill. Matt, at 124-25, this weird discussion about Zion's defensive lapses.
Either that team, the coach lost the team.
So number one, either the coach lost the team.
Right.
Or there's something going on with that team.
Or there's something going on with that team.
Just something.
Number three.
Or he's not healthy.
He's not healthy.
Or what's going on.
What's going on? That's known as the Marvin Gaye exit. At 136.59, another long pause.
Because I know this bothered you.
It's always something.
Wow.
It took him that long to come up with, it's always something.
It's always something.
Chris, I sometimes miss the pauses because I listen in 1.5
Oh
speed.
my God. Is that permitted? Your software allows that.
It's unbelievable.
It's like you've gotten into a time machine and gone into the future. At 139, did you listen to this at 1.5, Matt?
Kind of hand cast light.
I have a new topic for you.
What?
It's like he was laughing silently that whole time.
I don't know. Maybe he's relying too much on the video. At 148.05.
Only guy that showed up was Dwight.
Look, Dwight has a history of this.
At 155.55, bad branding.
2 more podcasts here this week on the BS Pod.
Disappointment. We'll be back after this. Matt, we use Anchor.fm for the Bill Simmons podcast. Anchor.fm allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, and it's free. Anchor will not only let you record and edit, you can also distribute your podcast to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more through Anchor. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, which is handy for the Bill Simmons podcast. Anchor.fm has everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm to get started. Matt, you're never going to guess. At 7 seconds in to the Kevin Clark, Jim Belushi, and mystery guest pod, what Bill thinks about Spotify.
If you can change speeds, I'm a 1.2 guy.
Yes. Speeds.
50 seconds in, ramping.
Ramping back into form.
Now,
You
I don't know.
ramp back into
No,
form.
you don't. But he did say ramping, so that's good.
Ramping.
Judge this, Matt, at 139.
I would highly recommend.
I think that's H's.
249, Pearl Jam. At 1033, this snort. At 1646, peace.
Because there's the Belichick piece.
They're talking about whether if there's no college football or delayed college football, if NFL teams will bring in college coaches as special, highly paid consultants.
Also, Chris, I have a general complaint with this whole segment.
Not on the Bill Simmons podcast, Matt.
This was the day after the report came out that the Big Ten and Pac-12, right?
I think so.
Were potentially considering not having football in the fall, that they were either going to cancel it or at the very least delay it till spring. It had not been announced yet, but ESPN was basically reporting that it was going to happen. At that point, the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12 were all saying, we think we're probably still going to have football. And I think there was some like ACC doctor who was out there saying it is safe. We believe it is safe to have football. Nonetheless, Bill spends this entire segment talking as if there's going to be absolutely no college football. Not only was there no indication that some of these conferences weren't going to shut down, they were reporting that they weren't going to shut down. I mean, it wasn't like, it was so weird to me. It all, in retrospect now, looks like a really dumb conversation. Like, no, you know what Nick Saban's going to do? Coach Alabama.
At 23:19, this laughter. At 23:24, the second worst words we can hear on a podcast from Bill Simmons.
Kyle,
if I knew
Kyle, you're
what was
there.
going on.
Kyle.
All the way in.
Kyle, you're there.
All the way in.
Yeah, Kyle's in. Kyle gets the second wife thing.
All the way in.
Matt, I was surprised to hear Kevin Clark, who apparently knows about sports, say this about attributes he looks for in a quarterback at 24-28.
They've always been intrigued by the guy who can use his legs and his arms.
His legs and his arms. You know those ambidextrous quarterbacks that are so great? They use both arms in playing quarterback.
That's not what it is, Chris. There are some teams that only care about quarterbacks who can use their legs. It's an armless quarterback, no problem.
How is he going to carry the ball? Yeah, who cares? Look at his legs. Or just the arm-only quarterbacks? Well, how's he going to drop back? Well, we'll just have the running back drag him. Matt, at 26:09, if you use the word sneak in Sneak Attack, sneak is not a verb. And so you do not use the past tense of sneak to make Sneak Attack past tense. Here's what Bill does.
I felt like I snuck attacked.
No, it's fine.
I snuck attacked. He was halfway between Sneak Attack and Snack Attack, and that's what he came up with.
That's one of my... Okay, so this episode is Snuck Attack Edition.
At 28:53, total agreement.
Was that Aaron Rodgers looked amazing in practice. And so...
Yeah.
At 32:43, he means masks.
Different Patriots masks.
It's either something to do with Massachusetts or possibly he's talking about how large it is.
Maybe it's the Patriots Catholic Church service. On the other hand, 34:01, not sure we can come up with a no prize for this.
I wonder if we could make Slow News Day mask.
The mass they had on the Saturday, like the day after Jesus was crucified, but before he rose from the dead, they were like, well, there's not a lot going on.
I thought Slow News Day mass was when Kevin Clark had a large lump growing on his back. And it's like...
We have used every possible mass derivative.
Variation. Variable.
Yeah,
Bill would approve. At 37:22, this swallow.
Gretchen Hebner experienced...
At 37:32, this swallow.
Education tech company. Well, guess what she did?
At 45:50.
They had a whole drug history dating back to...
I think it's that he says drug history, like he's Irish or a pirate. Meanwhile, I take issue with Jim Belushi. I can't believe this is... I mean, the level of pedantry is always high in the Bill Simmons podcast, but this is at a newer height. Cocaine is a Schedule II drug, Jim Belushi. At 46:16.
Marijuana is on the same schedule as cocaine and LSD.
Is LSD a Schedule 1?
I don't know, but cocaine is a Schedule II because there are therapeutic uses.
I like the Belushi stuff. I thought he was
all right.
I was sympathetic to his cause. Every once in a while, it was a little bit like new agey or hippie-ish.
Bill very weirdly, multiply agreeable with Jim Belushi, starting here at 56:38.
Yeah.
Now that's 3 yas, Matt. At 57:37, Matt, more yas.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's 4. Oh, yeah. We're going to skip ahead, Matt, to this at 59:07.
Right.
Multiple agreement. Different word form.
This is weird.
Yeah.
It's like, did Bill smoke?
I don't know, but 107:04, this.
Right.
At 58:32, bail and unnecessary article.
The greatest hit shows at like 10 o'clock, and that was the first in like 78, 79.
At 101:47, this Joe Bluth nominee.
I thought you didn't love being on the show though, right?
At 105:58, this Joe Bluth nominee.
First year, they became...
At 111:16, this laughter. At 112:40, this laughter. At 116:02, this laughter. There wasn't a ton of stuff on this episode. At 121:44, he says this about Captain Kangaroo.
You never ran into Captain Kangaroo after that, did you?
No.
Bob Gershon?
No.
I think his name was.
His name was Bob Keeshan.
I have a question, Chris. Did you know that, or did you just check because Bill said, I think his name was?
I was pretty sure it wasn't Gershon because I'm thinking, I think he means Frank Gorshin, the Riddler. So I had to check. At 123:37.
I'm a wild guy, personally.
Well, you know when you say it and then you lower your voice.
He's also talking about wings. So maybe it's a difference.
Oh, yeah, he's talking about Buffalo Wild Wings. Terrible. We'll
Matt,
take your money, Buffalo Wild Wings, but Jesus, you suck.
At 124:06, you know how here's Kyle, second worst words?
Yeah.
Here's the worst words you can hear on a Bill Simmons podcast.
Here's my dad.
Oh, no, I forgot. How could I have possibly forgotten who this guest was?
You buried the memory, Matt.
The worst part was he says, oh, God, I did. I totally just, man, this is like a bad nightmare. The worst part is
As opposed to those delightful nightmares we have where we're chased by a clown with huge teeth who then hugs us.
when he's announcing that he's bringing his dad on, he says, it's been a long time since my dad came on to talk about Boston sports. And it's like, this is literally the last thing I could ever want to hear on this podcast.
At 125.02, this swallow.
Down on Brady last year. We thought he was...
At 126.06, out of context theater.
I'm all in.
I love hearing this old man say, I'm all in. It might be the second all in reference. My dad is very funny, but okay, yeah, we'll see.
It's just as like a matching segment. You can talk about Iowa.
At 127.02, this swallow.
Mookie Betts. That was another thing that happens.
At 127.48, laughter.
That team is terrible.
At 128.35, unnecessary article.
The Benintendi, remember? Like,
followed at 129.26, unnecessary article.
Like that Weber and Martin Perez. Like
at 139.16, it does sound like Cousin Kyle is still involved.
It's the backup backcourt.
You and I have been
phone ringing.
Also, if there's 100% that is a landline, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Bill's dad's house.
Gotta be. At 141.26, we hear this more than once in the background, and I'm not sure what it is.
He seemed like a good teammate. Everybody here liked him.
Is he drawing a bath? What is that? He accidentally turned the TV to UHF?
No, I was going to say it was like the teapot reached boiling and it started to hiss.
He was getting a call over the internet from Morpheus ASMR. And I think he had just opened up a new bottle of ginger ale. Let me pour some coffee. I know everybody says they like you. That guy rules. God, I hope everybody checks out Morpheus ASMR.
He's only got 1 million subscribers.
We should have that guy on as a guest. Maybe we'll get some like cross promotion.
Yeah.
So the people we want to get on are Titus,
right?
Morpheus,
right,
and my dad. At 141.58, this Joe Bluth nominee.
When their identity shifts a little.
At 144.47, this noise.
Take Langford, which was Arrow, who went to pick before Langford.
Yeah, but you left out.
You know, you always say steak noises.
Yeah. You think that's what it was?
It's steak.
At 147.11, this swallow.
An incredible ambassador.
He's been
the last
terrific.
couple of months.
At 150.43, listen closely, Matt.
Grew up as a hockey fan and coming to Boston.
That sounds like the SimCity explosion.
He made that comment about when he was younger, he wasn't a hockey fan, but then coming into Boston, he became one. Is it possible that Bill's dad is a polygamous sports fan?
Holy cow, Matt. That's great.
Unless maybe it's one of these, like, he grew up in, North Dakota, didn't have any fans really, and so then when he moved to Boston, adopted Boston. But
didn't have any teams.
Yeah, didn't have any teams. Yeah, sorry. Definitely. He still has no fans. At least not at the Bill Simmons podcast.
At 151.33, Bill rounds out the episode to talk about Spotify. You'll never guess what he says.
And you can change speeds, check out the charts, all that good stuff.
All the good stuff. Like, I don't understand. It's like, well, here's what I'm going to go on Spotify. Well, what can I do? Well, I guess I could change the speed. All right, what else? Charts.
Bill sits down with his phone, loads up the Spotify app, and then just goes 1, 1.2, 1.5, 1.2, 1, 0.8, 0.5, 0.8, 1, 1.2, 1.5.
Charts. We'll be back after this.
You didn't, I thought.
You didn't love being on the show, though, right?
Matt, as always, we want to thank the people that support us monetarily, not the people that support us emotionally, because honestly, emotional support doesn't pay the bills the way Josh N., Jeff G., Scott B., Sean, and our friends at College Football Brothers Podcast support us with money. They do it through Patreon, patreon.com/bspodpod. You can also support us as David P. and Scott B. do through Anchor. That's anchor.fm/bspodpod. David, as we always say, you're giving us too much money. Also, I think Scott B. is possibly giving us money through Anchor and Patreon. Scott, it's not worth it. Thank you very much to our producers. Here are all the things Bill and his guests found delicious in the last week. Or just funny sounds.
So then when you think whether it's it was and because most
and that's and so who's available? Approach.
So this
Wow. Oh.
to Brooklyn as it says, and it's just
So look,
Finally, Raja Bell and Jacko talking about politics and stuff. 1 hour, 44 minutes, and 3 seconds. 0 seconds in, bad branding.
Tonight's episode of the BS Podcast.
4 seconds in, Spotify.
Change your speeds to whatever speed you want. I'm a 1.2 guy.
He really thinks this is the only thing Spotify offers.
Twice a podcast, every podcast.
At 40 seconds, this. At 119, this botch.
Where we launched two new podcasts this week.
At 125, Matt, do you know the definition of the word budge?
Move slightly.
Merriam-Webster. Budge, a fur formerly prepared from lambskin, dressed with the wool outward. I think it's this verb, move or shift or to give way. Here's what Bill says.
Caused a lot of budges this week.
The Kyle Brandt interview with Aaron Rodgers caused a lot of budge.
Maybe he meant the sheepskin thing.
I think you're going to say like a small amount of moving or shifting. At 2:08, no surprise.
Once again, I had a recording screw up.
This is a pro, Spotify. $250 million. At 2:41, laziness.
That happened.
At 3:21, Pearl Jam. 4:27, does Bill understand what an analogy is?
And I really appreciated the analogy.
The analogy is Dame Lillard reminds me of Kobe Bryant.
That's not an analogy.
An analogy, according to our friends at Merriam-Webster, a comparison of two otherwise unlike things based on resemblance of a particular aspect.
You were saying Dame reminded you of Kobe Bryant.
He just means comparison.
Yes, he's just comparing the two. Of course, it's hard to tell because it sounds like he's speaking into a plastic cup on the end of a string.
9:15, Bill recognizes his singularness.
I was one of the all-time Iverson defenders.
All time. He was one of the best ones.
At 13:24, double unnecessary article.
The Kobe, the Iverson.
At 15:53, Bill has hired Raja Bell to speak and then does not let him.
One-on-one ability. I mean,
do you think
Bill apparently thinks Raja Bell was going to end that sentence with, I mean.
do you think
At 17:37, this bail.
It was just more interesting. There were more variables.
At 24:30, judge this, Matt.
That is the headliner.
I think it's CH.
At 24:44, this swallow.
For a reason. A simple, intuitive app.
At 24:51, this swallow.
When you win, FanDuel gets you.
At 25:28, I wrote new users only.
For New Year's only.
New Yearsers. It's people who were born on New Year's Day. New Yearsers.
At 26:13, unnecessary article.
The Celtics in the 2010 Game 7.
I did the most research of the week on this. This is at 28:05. Listen to the noise in the background.
Those type of bodies.
It sounds to me like it's a water pouring kind of noise. Like this definitely sounds like a Morpheus noise, but listen to it again.
Those type of bodies.
You hear that noise?
Definitely.
I was sure Bill was sipping on something. So I pulled up the video and I watched Bill over and over again. Nothing. Then I watched Raja Bell and saw out of the corner of my eyes. Now he's recording this outside. I saw out of the corner of my eye a tree with two squirrels chasing each other. That noise is two squirrels chasing each other on a tree behind Raja Bell's house.
Wait, you got to do it again. There's no way that's what it is.
Those type of bodies.
What are they doing?
They're just scrambling around on the bark. At 33:11, this bail.
Dwayne Wade, Shaq's here. Well, we start, and then
at 33:17, thing.
They win the thing.
He means championship or trophy or game or series thing. At 44:38, it's a weird time to go to the gym.
Well, that guy's probably going to be in the gym on the summer.
Maybe the Summer is the name of the trainer.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, it could be a woman named Summer, but
So
then it would be an unnecessary article because he's on the Summer. Maybe it's the person who comes up with math problems. That is the person who does the sums or the summer. How about that?
Okay.
At 47:02, this laughter.
right.
At 50:14, I don't think this is how snowballs work.
And then it just snowballs against you, and that's that.
I think things snowball, but I don't think they snowball against someone. I mean, if things get out of control, yeah, that's the way it works. But it's like, look at all my problems up at the top of that hill. Very small snowball. Wait a second. Now my problems are rolling down the hill and accumulating. I will not get out of the way of my snowballing problems. They have snowballed against me. At 51:49, this swallow.
Frustrated with Embiid. Depending on what night.
At 102:44, Bill loves to talk about random numbers of things. Top 90, top 17, top 7. But I've never heard him come up with this 7-member group.
Like he was one of like the 7 best guys in the league.
7 Bext? 7 Beckest?
The 7 guys in the league who most adore alternative music artist Beck.
at 105.50.
You know what I didn't mention before? They have 90210 and Melrose Place and about 22 seasons of MTV's The Challenge.
Yeah, he's mentioned that like 4 times. At 109.44, This Laughter.
I know all the deal.
At 114.47, more laughter.
No question. Absolutely.
At 115.27.
There's like irrevocable damage now with baseball in some ways?
There's like irrevocable. At 126.49, This Laughter.
Christ, so it's like...
Matt, there is a word for the people that are on this side at 127.42.
The side that's on the Democrat side.
The word for the people who are on the side that is the Democrat side is the Democrats. At 133.56, This Laughter.
Like, that's how big it is. Yeah.
At 138.46, listen to this unnecessary article.
I worry about Biden and the Biden-Trump.
Both Biden and the Biden-Trump.
The Biden-Trump is some horrifying monster sent here to claim America.
It drives a Trans Am with the T-tops down, but has a long red silk tie with clear tape on the back.
Okay.
It's the Bill Simmons Podcast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Matt.
Let's make it out, baby.
I thought you did a great job, and I thought your energy was really high.
You know, it's funny. We talked about this last week, and I was listening to this when I was at a park with my kid. My other kid was with my wife eating lunch at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Why do your kids like Buffalo Wild Wings?
I don't know, man. They just like it.
Do they get wings?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.